Steve. Welcome to dumb SEO Questions. Each week we answer the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+. With us tonight we have Arthur Rodeliscu, SEO Specialist for Gabriel's Technology Solutions. Micah Fisher-Kirshner is Senior SEO Manager for Zazzle.com. Richard Hearn is a conversion rate optimization specialist, and Rob Mars is a Google top contributor in Google Webmasters, Search, and AdWords. His website is marketbiz with a .nl. OnlineOwnership.com is run by Tim Capper, the UK's leading SEO. Okay, our first question tonight is from Kathy Daunt. She said basically that she went down in the Google search engine results pages and wants to know if there has been a minor algorithm update. She says, hi all, as said in Mozcast, mozcast.com, the weather for last Friday and Saturday was bad, and I went down in the results. And after the software algorithm update on March the 24th, 2014, there was a decrease in organic traffic to my site. Are there any possibilities to increase my organic search traffic again? Anybody?
Well, those specific dates that Kathy mentioned, from the noise coming out, for those specific dates, I think that was Panda rolling out. So now Panda is obviously more of a filter for thin content on site. So if this is the particular case, and I can't see Kathy's site because we'll have a quick look at that, but if that is the case, Panda is generally thin content, and you would need to look at how you're presenting your content on the site.
Okay.
Yeah, there is another. Yeah, there is another update. It's a payday loans algorithm 2.0 update. So, Kathy, if you're on the payday loans marketing, then I'm sorry for you. I mean, these payday loans making money websites, they've been hit second time this time. So, if it's
other spam,
yeah, go ahead.
and other spam. And other spam queries, so not just on payday loans, but also other spam queries, financial spam queries.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. So the thing is, you won't be able to recover that fast from one day to another because this is an algorithmic update. It's not a manual penalty, unless you see an email in your webmaster tools saying that you have been manually penalized. You suffer from a manual penalty, but which I doubt. If you say it happened during the weekend, you should be taking care of your thin content, thin pages. And my advice, as a general advice, is if you have a lot of thin content on a lot of pages, and if you try to improve your website quality overall, just try to sum up all the pages which have thin content. Maybe if you have 3 pages with the same thin content and it's the same thing discussed on it, I mean, just mix them up and make it one page which has a far better content, and try to improve your quality of your content. And you just have to wait to a new Panda update version to come up in order to recover from this. I mean, this was the case until now. I don't know if they changed anything, but so far there is nothing you can do from one day to another. Just keep working on your website, improve your things, and that's it.
When you see a certain drop in the rankings, the first thing you do is look in your webmaster tools, whether you have a manual penalty or not, or that there are other problems with your website. And secondly, you look at your analytics to see if it's also a drop in visitors and or conversions. It's not always an update that does your site harm. Can be anything for that matter. And lately, the most rank trackers having quite some problems with giving good results. So you can't trust them that much.
Yeah, agree with Rob. Might be just usual fluctuations. So you just have to wait and see and do what Rob said.
Okay.
Always do what Rob says.
All right. Let's. I hope that's what you're looking for, Kathy. Here's a question from Biso Nkosi. He's been requested to give a quote for SEO services and wonders how he should structure his quote for the services. He says, where should I start? How should I structure my quote? I do not know how to go about this, since this will be my first big client.
It's I don't know how to put this. I mean, if you're an SEO and you get your first client and you don't know how to tell him what you are doing for the money, that's bad. I mean, that's really bad. So I don't know how can we, I mean, I'm talking for myself. I don't know how can I help you. Truly.
Well, he should start with telling the university that it's not positions that count, but relevant traffic that counts. And then he should think for himself how much certain tasks to improve that would cost him in time. So he could start with a first analysis of what the status of the website is at the moment, put a price to that, then continue to see how much work he needs to do and calculate his hours, and most of the time, especially when you're beginning, double or triple the expected hours and give that as a quote to your client, because it's always much more work than you initially think. And as long as the client doesn't say ouch, then you're in business. And if they say ouch, you can always lower your price if necessary. Don't know if somebody else.
I should also add, I read that question badly. He said that the university wants to increase its rank on Google for certain keywords. I think, I don't know, I'm only going on what I hear back from you guys, but it seems to me that part of the job of an SEO is managing client expectations, and what he should be perhaps thinking of is creating some measurements, say some key performance indicators, and I know one of the biggest companies in Australia is selling SEO services. That they make guarantees for their clients, because I know this because one of my clients was recently approached by them, and they had a series of expectations for a set of 10 keywords, and that they undertook to get them onto the first page for those 10 keywords within 3 months. But they actually selected 10 keywords for which the client was already ranking on the first page for those 10 keywords. So that, you know, their guarantee of their money-back guarantee if they don't achieve that ranking is fairly safe. And maybe that's what he should be doing, is saying he'll at least maintain these. As Rob said, managing the client's expectation, it's not really about where you rank on it with the keyword, it's what traffic is generated from those keywords. Does that make sense? Yeah. Maybe I'll be an SEO one day yet. All right. Do we have anything more that we can say to SEMrush, Nkosi? Should he quote on an hourly rate for his time, or a fixed price?
He should mention his hours and put a fixed price on the first part of the project.
I agree with Rob. He should placing a fixed price, because he's a beginner. He will always work harder than a pro in this field. So maybe a fixed price will suit the university, which has strict budgets. I mean, they all have. And maybe in this way he can catch the contract. And if he will work harder in some of the areas, well, probably on the next contract with them, he will be able to make it up for that. But usually with universities and state, I don't know, how can I put this? Companies which have strict budgets, it's better to go with fixed prices, in my opinion.
He could also try another approach where he gives them 3 possibilities: one basic, one medium, and one supreme, in which he makes clear that with the basic he gives a basic advice, and with the premium he gives a very high quality extended advice. And that's also a way to figure out what kind of budget the university has. And in most cases, people won't go for the basic price, but choose the medium or the premium price, because nobody wants to hire or pay for just the basic.
Yeah.
So you do a quote for 10, 5 and 10,000, for instance. If they say 10,000 isn't way in our budget, then you know that. If you only quote 1,000 and they say yes, then you probably missed out 2,000.
All right. Well, Stefan Bisto Nkosi, I hope that covers it for you. We have a question now from Makita Shah. I think Tim might have some insight on this one. He said, I've just come across this SEO tool website, Webmeup. Has anyone used this tool? He said, Webmeup has good reviews. I have a free trial, but I'm really unable to add any projects and would like a little guidance on how I should use it. Or is it the case that we can only add projects after you order your subscription. I am only able to use the backlink tool. Any help is useful.
Okay. Yeah, so you've signed up for the 15-day free trial, and you're only able to use the backlink tool. Okay, that sounds a bit wrong. I think now, obviously, I gave the 15-day trial a go, and if I remember correctly, I think sort of somewhere up on the top right-hand corner, it will say something like go to your overview or your projects or something like that, and of course that's where it will take you into your actual project itself. And then of course you need to you need to add one. Of course you start off with your domain name that you want to track. It allows you to add in your keywords. Just a quick one. When you first initially add your keywords, you can't actually copy and paste a list. You need to have created the project first. So the tip here would be just to add in a singular keyword, type it in. Or if you've got 10 in mind, type that in. But if you've got a list of 20 and you don't want to type it in, type those two in, then go to the next, set the country location. I think it asks you how many times you want to run this, if it's daily, weekly, or something like that. And there's a couple of other things. I think connect your analytics and webmaster tools. And then you create your report, or at least it starts running. Then when it takes you into the overall dashboard, this is where you can click edit, and actually then in the keyword section you can actually then click onto and actually paste in a larger amount of keywords if you've got a larger amount. I mean, personally, I really like the trial. I really like it. I especially like the reports that it pulls from your webmaster tools on your links to the site. It obviously finds more, but it uses obviously your webmaster tools also, and exports all that data. And the thing that I really like, and I've probably raved about it a few times to people, is how they break down all your links into sort of a traffic light system. These are seriously dangerous, sort these out now. Ambers, which are, we can't quite tell, but we think these are borderline, you need to check them out as potentially dangerous. And green, we're pretty confident that these are all A-OK links and good to go. You don't even really need to look at them, which is really handy, especially if you've got a site which has got a serious amount of links. It's a really nice, quick sort of, not having to go and get a separate link detox package or something like that. It's a really nice, handy thing to keep an eye on. I like the interface. I like the reporting. Very, very clean. Very clean. The only thing I don't like about it, and the reason I'd never used it or carried on with it, was pure and simply, most of my clients want to see rankings versus competitors on a monthly basis. And Webmeup doesn't provide this. You can, in your keyword report, click on a specific keyword and it will then show you competitors' rankings for that keyword. In your specific in the original project settings, you would obviously have to say what particular competitors that you want to track, but it doesn't allow a singular, on all your keywords, whether it be 5, 10, or 20, side-by-side comparisons, or even a graph comparison. It doesn't do that. which is kind of the one thing that I really want, because other people may not need it, but specifically my clients want to see that, and it's not that I've ever suggested it, it's just they want to see that as a monitoring factor. So that was the one singular reason I never went with them, but I really like the tool, and like I said, for some reason, if you haven't been able to get into the free trial, there should be your profile, or your, I can't remember what they called it, but it's on the top right of your screen where you click in and it takes you to the very beginning, either your panel report, and that's where you can start add a project, and then it takes you through step by step. I like it. Give it a bash and see what you think.
Okay. Well, I think that pretty much covers Webmeup. It's a glorious interface, but it needs a bit of polish. I think that's my tire kicker's call.
Yeah, and like I mentioned last week, my other criticism of it is when you send feedback of something that you'd like to see, they actually argue with you. Well, at least the twice when I said I'd like to see this, this, or this, they actually argued with me when I was providing feedback on the project. So I think whoever is on the other end of the contact or the support email is probably a little bit too involved in it, and actually doesn't like criticism or any suggestions whatsoever. So yeah.
Another word of criticism is that at the moment they really do not show good results since the end of April, for that matter. Wait a minute.
All right. Well, Nikita Shah, I hope that covers it for you. We now have a question from David Sabo. Here's a question regarding repurposing an old blog article. He said, let's say I have a blog article we wrote from 2012 that we want to refresh. Would it be best to edit the original article and publish with today's date, or copy the original article, refresh it, and publish new? It seems like we would have duplicate content in the second scenario.
So something like that will vary dependent on the content of the article itself. And the situations can kind of might lead you in one way or another. In terms of, say, editing the original article and publishing with today's date, so assuming that the edits are, let's say, a sufficient amount of quality and new content, doing the former is okay. It's always kind of, if it's a bit of an evergreen content type post, noting kind of some additional updates and new information for it is all right. The flip side of taking the original article, refreshing and adding new content, and instead publishing as new is also an okay approach if it's more time-based and there are updates based on that. So things that are, say, seasonal trends, a yearly seasonal is fine. And it's not, I wouldn't, is it creating duplicate content? It's going to really depend on how different your article is. If it is a more trending type of information, then it's not as problematic in that regard. So you want to kind of make a judgment call on what is it more evergreen? Is it more kind of trending to help at least figure out a bit of the direction to go? And it's not pure hard, those two the only options, but generally that should help at least to provide you ideas for kind of which way to go.
Cool.
My call about this would be like this. You could refresh this original article I mean, refresh it in the sense of adding new content to it, make it larger if you want to, or cut the old parts which does not fit anymore, put it on the new page, and then 301 redirect the old page with the old article to the new page. And this way you will keep all the ranking from the old article. You won't be involved in duplicate content, and the new article with the new date should probably do as good as the old article, even better. How is that sound?
Sounds great, Arthur.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine as long as you know, it's not a type trend article. I mean, if it's let's just say 2013 fashion trends versus 2014, you know, you want to keep the old content live. So it just depends a little bit on the situation in that regard.
Okay.
Who
Well, look,
wants to know 2013 fashion trends?
Hey, you get some good deals doing it that way.
Yeah, but you will look ridiculous.
okay, let's take a question. I hope, David Sabo, that's what you were looking for. A question now from Danielle Murdoch. Is it better to use your company name or your own name for the keyword on your About page? She said, I have a client and we are doing a serious SEO overhaul on their website. It's just a one-man band portfolio website with just 3 pages and 12 posts, which isn't unusual for a portfolio website. However, when brainstorming the focus keywords, we got stumped on when it came to the About page. Personally, I thought it would be better to link in the founder's name. Their copywriter suggested the company name. I'm just wondering which you people think is correct, if either.
Both?
Yeah, depending if it is about page, the about page is about company. You normally use the company's name, and of course you will use the founder's name also within the text, right? So you can gain, even though, but depending on what is the about page for.
Yeah, if I had to, ideally I'd probably keep the about page around the band and then have some sub-pages that talk about each individual band member. That would be kind of my ideal for what I would be looking at, but I think generally I would side with the company name in most situations. Not all, but...
It was a one-man band, so...
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. I might, yeah, in that case, actually, yeah, that's a good point. I forgot, I missed that part. I probably would include then the person's name, but given that it's a small site, I might do that. You know, if it started to get larger, then I might just, you know, separate out and, you know, here's the band about page and here's the about the person, then his or herself. But for a small one, I might just merge them, the two together.
Okay. Have we covered this for Danielle, do you think, guys?
He shouldn't be looking at SEO as doing something for a keyword, as he writes in his question. It's more about themes and connections, and therefore he shouldn't be looking blind at using a name or the company name. He should, on the About Us page, he should write about what it's all about and see which kind of words come out of there, and use the words that describe the content of the page best on the most significant places, but he shouldn't be looking at optimizing a page for a keyword. Doesn't work anymore.
Okay. Well, Danielle, I hope that's enough for you. If not, please feel free to ask again in the SEO Questions community on Google+. Michael Tigulo, I should say, asked a question regarding the backlinks of his site. He said, I checked all the backlinks in Majestic SEO, and one backlink appeared on the blog that I post. I am wondering whether it can cause Panda, because the URL of the blog is like this, and he gives the URL of his blog, followed by 8 digits, and then gives another URL with a separate set of 8 digits. Different URL, but the same content. Does anyone know how to fix this in a WordPress site, or if it's just native to WordPress sites and there is no issue?
So first off, bear in mind that Panda is generally of on-site content of your own, in this case, blog, and Penguin is more of what you're looking at when you're concerned about backlinks. Now, on top of that, Penguin is an algorithmic type, let's say, filter penalty, and for the most part, a single backlink is not going to be of a concern on your end. The Penguin is going to need a decent amount of information to be able to determine whether or not your site is going to get dinged for something. So I wouldn't really be concerned about a single link. So that's kind of the main thing about that. And and this goes to kind of whether that's and even for the same way for Panda, it's not just going to be a single page or a bit of content that's going to do it. So if this is something that were to expand quite dramatically with your site, then that would be potentially of concern, but I wouldn't worry about a single backlink.
Okay.
Now,
anybody else?
One thing to add, of course, is depending on kind of I guess on if you're worried about, say, tripping some form of a manual kind of penalty, it's kind of it goes again to kind of the issue of how many of these are coming up. Once again, a single thing that's doesn't look egregious is okay, because once again, Google has a general understanding, at least when it's very small numbers, that you can't necessarily control everything, and they're not going to ding you for most of the time. They're not going to ding you for a single thing. It's only when it gets to be really, really bad where they might even ding you manually for it. But I highly doubt that a single backlink would do so. And currently the URL actually redirects, so I can't actually view it. But yeah, in the end, a single thing is not going to be a huge concern potentially for either an algorithm hit or a manual hit.
Yep, totally agree. All right, Michael, I hope that answers your question. Evgeny Numers-Hitki asks or says, we pay an SEO agency, but they refuse to provide a list of URLs to those pages with backlinks. Is this normal practice? He goes on to say, hello friends, I'm in a very interesting situation and need advice. We have an e-commerce website and we pay an external SEO agency. They are placing backlinks to our site, but when I asked them to provide a list of the URLs to those pages, this SEO agency refused to do it. Now, is this normal behavior for an SEO agency, and should we continue working with them?
Placing backlinks for them. Great.
That's what she said.
Yeah, it's common among kind of the spammy SEO agencies. Any good kind of agency would be more than happy to show you what the links you're getting, and in fact, it's kind of under your due diligence to know that as well, because if they're providing you low quality, you could be getting dinged for that at a certain point from Google. So yeah, this would not be, if they're not willing to provide it, I would strongly recommend not continuing with such an agency. Yeah, but they should be proud of what they're getting for you, and that's even assuming that kind of the backlinks and kind of the strategy that they're doing in of itself. It's making sure that whatever they're doing is considered to be fine within the guidelines of the search engines.
Yes, I imagine if we took a show of hands of the panelists here, the vote would be unanimous. In fact, Rob Mars said in the comments of the chat here, run, run, run. It's definitely a red flag, Evgeny, and yes, you really don't need that SEO agency any longer. Okay. I have a question now from Athiab Muhith. I'm having a travel agency website, but it's not doing well. Can anyone please help me out? I would really appreciate some sage advice from anyone here. It's the only flavour we've got. He said, I'm having I have a travel agency website, and unfortunately I'm not getting the page ranking I was hoping to get. I have tried my best to follow all the relevant tips I can find. I made about 6 satellite keyword-rich websites that link to my main website to no avail. Can anyone please help me out? He said, thank you.
Well,
what about creating great content on their own website? They also do that? Or?
The first approach of this Athiab was wrong. I mean, to create satellites and backlinks, it's an old, it's an ancient SEO technique which worked like, I don't know, 15 years ago. Back then it used to work, but nowadays you should just focus all your attention and your effort on one website, your main website. Get down all those 6 satellites, as they will have been probably penalized by Google by now. And I'm of a small surprise if you don't get any mail in your Webmaster Tools account from Google saying that they have taken a manual action to you. But probably if you didn't get any page rank, they don't even bother. So try instead to focus on engaging in social networks with your great content. Share it, discuss about it, because sharing it's only the first step in engaging in social networks. Discuss about it, discuss about your main things in your website. Try to engage, how do I say it, as much people as you can, and try to pick up the guys who knows your domain of expertise, and run discussions sessions about it, and in this way your backlinks will start flowing naturally and you will see your page rank in the end. But that's not a short-term approach. I mean, you should think about it in a long term, around 1 year plus. During this time, just try to demote all your bad SEO techniques if you used some. Just disavow the links you've built which are bad, and so on and so forth. And in terms of internal SEO, just try to clean up your website for thin content. I mean, if you create a page and you put on that page 100 words of content, that's a thin content. And you should start, first of all, within your website and create great content, and then just publish it and talk about it.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, Dathia, I hope that covers your question.
I gave him. Yeah, I did reply. I did reply to him on his post, and you know, I echoed pretty much everything Arthur said. This travel is a very, very, very competitive market. You are not going to do anything in 6 months. You need to start thinking about this from 12 to 24 months. Your satellite sites, I had a look at them. They are exceptionally thin. They're all EMDs. You've created a massive link wheel. Those need to come down, and I would take the content from those. If they check your webmaster tools first, and I would incorporate that thin content, because it was thin, back into your site. Get rid of those. You also don't have a single natural link pointing to your site, because you have taken some really bad advice from somewhere, I don't know, but you are also using a blog, a link network coming off multiple sites, or for keyword-rich anchor texts, and I think those equate to something like 63% of all your links coming back. You know, and this, if you just look at your link graph, it went from 0 up to, I think you've got almost 2,000 links pointing back to your site inside of 2 months. You know, this is a red flag, and very unfortunately for you, we are expecting Penguin to come barreling through any day now. So, yeah, you just picked a really bad time to do this. I wish you had asked. I've asked beforehand, but I would get down those satellite sites now. I'm assuming it would be pretty easy because of those, you know, of that sort of link network you used. I'm hoping, for your sake, it'd be very easy to get those stripped off, like today. Those are your first two things, and then follow on with what Arthur said. Build it socially, build great content, share it out there on one site, and start thinking 12, 24 months, not 6 months. Okay.
Yeah. Of course, the thing about manual penalties is that they work on the dob-in system, and whatever is done, as long as it's not beating somebody else, nobody's going to bother reporting you. But the moment that you do, just assuming you did happen to get crazy lucky and actually win for some of this stuff, you won't last 5 minutes. Somebody that you beat with this clearly wrong tactic is going to dob you in. Then it's going to fill out a spam report. 2 engineers look at it. One engineer makes the decision, another engineer okays it, and you're gone. So there's really no point. There's really no point. Will we move on from this one?
Yep.
Okay. Here's a question, a good question from Peter Vandiver. Does sharing a link on Google Plus help SEO, or are the links no follow?
Well, the short answer is yes, they are all no follow. Do they help SEO? Yes, but not in a direct way as you would like to think. I mean, they help SEO in a sense of bringing you visitors, which is far more important than a little bit of PageRank flowing through a link. So yes, share the content, and not sharing the content is the most important thing, because I'm just starting to see nowadays everybody shares a lot of content. Either it is good or bad, they all share it and that's it, they stop. Not sharing the content is the main honeypot, but engaging around that content while after you share it is the main juicy sauce, if I may say so. Just try to get people involved and commenting and discussing and, I don't know, raging around your content. That will bring you visitors, and possibly, if you're well enough constructed content on your website, you can transform them into customers or at least regular visitors.
Funniest thing is you know, you get spammers who will cruise into a community, a forum, anything, drop a link and run. And they don't hang about to discuss it. It wouldn't actually be, in a sense, yes, it is spamming, but you know, if it was to do with the community, the page, or whatever, if you engage, yes, look, Google Plus is fantastic, and I think you're totally looking at it the wrong way in terms of whether it's a followed or a no followed link. It's about traffic to your site, like Arthur said, and I have attracted with Google Plus, and of course with some obviously promoting it on other social mediums as well with Google Plus. One of my big successes was bringing in 30,000 visits from a single post. Granted, it was very sexy. It was about luxury cars and blah 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 and things like this for a client site. But you know, so what if there was a no followed link? I had 30,000 people come and look at the post. Do you know what I mean? They might have gone on and created a follow link by sharing it elsewhere, by mentioning it elsewhere. So yeah, you're looking at it completely the wrong way. Whether it's follow or no follow, it's about engaging, it's about using it. I mean, some of the best relationships that I've you know, built up, you know, outside of you know, like my family, is these guys here, you know, and the knowledge that comes with it, the sharing, you know, yeah. It's a fantastic tool. Don't ignore it. Use it, but just don't think of it as in like links. You know, yeah, just kind of forget about whether it's followed or no followed. The other, on the flip side, would you you know, would you say to Wikipedia, if somebody added a link in to a Wikipedia article, would you say, hey, that's no follow, I don't want it, take it off? No, you wouldn't. So, you know, it's about visibility, not about whether it's no follow or follow. Okay.
Sounds good to me. Well, Peter Vandiver, if that's not enough for you, please feel free to ask again on the SEO Questions community on Google+. I have a question here from Liu Tizi Sheng. Is there a similar tool to LSI Digger? He goes on to say, hi SEO community. LSI Digger is a tool where it scrapes through the top Google results and tells me which related keywords appear in the top related websites. Thanks for your help. LSI, would that be latent semantic indexing, I guess? I haven't heard of this tool.
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with that tool as well.
I don't know it either, so I can't say.
Anybody?
Well,
No.
we will do our homeworks, and then please put this question on the next session, next week, and we'll get back to the guy. It's
okay.
this, okay?
Well, yep, fair enough. Leo, if you could ask your question again on the SEO Questions community on Google+. The reason I asked that you ask it again, if you do ask it again and say, look, we weren't able to answer it last week, we'll make sure that we do check it out and have an answer ready for you for next week. Alex McGill says, what can you do to improve ranking on Bing and Yahoo? He goes on to say, say you have keywords ranking well on Google's search engine result pages. However, on Bing and Yahoo, the same keywords are performing badly, sometimes not even displaying on the search engine results pages. My question is, what can you do to improve ranking on Bing and Yahoo, bearing in mind that you do not want to negatively influence the current Google ranking when making changes to the relevant pages?
Yeah, there's not a, how to put it, there's not a huge difference in general between the optimization strategies that you would want to do between Google versus the Bing Yahoo sites. Probably one of the biggest ones that generally should be aware of is Bing is much more particular when it comes to their XML sitemaps. So you want to make sure that within your XML sitemaps, it's near 100% that the pages you're showing is of value and it doesn't lead to any error pages or doesn't have any redirects. Bing, cares about that in particular. So if you're not submitting an XML sitemap that resolves all properly, Bing may see you as less, may trust you less, and that may in turn affect some of your rankings. So that's kind of one of the areas to keep in mind, at least as a tactical level. Others, if anybody else has some thoughts for that.
Anybody else? Okay, I see Jenny Halaz has just joined us. Jenny's from JLH Marketing in the US of A.
Hey, how are you, Jim?
I'm well, thank you.
What number are we on the run list?
It's number 11.
Okay, cool. Oh, go ahead. I'll catch up.
Okay, well, we're talking about, the question is about improving ranking on Bing and Yahoo.
Good question.
Anybody else notice that Bing's results are getting better and better?
Never look at Bing, never see Bing in our stats.
They do getting better and better. I mean, they've even implemented mobile voice search and stuff like that.
Bing is certainly getting better, yeah, definitely. And DuckDuckGo looks pretty good these days, also. Yeah, you know, especially for local stuff. And I've been harping on about this for the last month. Especially UK localized search results are absolutely diabolical. When I moved home a month and a half ago, every single local service I needed in moving home, I couldn't find on Google. I had to go to Bing. So yeah, Google, pull your finger out, sort it out.
So just a couple of tips and tricks about Bing search engine. I mean, Yahoo is based on Bing, so there is no point in talking too much about Yahoo. The thing is, Bing usually doesn't penalize websites. I mean, they prefer to just ignore it. That doesn't mean that if you're building links and Google didn't catch you, it doesn't mean that Bing won't ignore you or even though penalize you, although they said they don't have too much penalized websites. They just prefer to ignore those specific links. And another thing is that Bing is using meta keywords element as a spam signal. I mean, don't spam the meta keywords with a lot of keywords on each page, as Bing will consider it as a spammy signal and will definitely ignore your website. So just pay attention to the meta keywords element. While Google ignores it, Bing doesn't, and not in the good way.
Okay. Look, I think we can move on from that one. Here is a question from Charu Rastogi. It's question 12 on our run list. He says, when the tag is used index nofollow, then it makes sense to me. But what would be the impact and logic behind using noindex follow? I have seen this tag used on another site.
So generally from that technical standpoint, imagine you have a situation where the page that you currently have, you don't want Google to index. It could be it could be the quality of the content's not very useful. It could be behind a wall of, say, potentially the shopping cart or something. However, you have, for whatever reason, people are linking to that page. And what you may want in that situation is that while the page might not be of use, you may still want the bot to say, okay, well, at least follow these links that you have to other pages that may be of value. And so that way, the links that are going to the page, at least some of those can carry on through to other pages that may be of value to the engine and to other users. But the specific page that you have, you don't want Google to be indexing. That's one possible situation for why you'll see people have that noindex follow tag.
Okay, anybody else?
Small one is that it allows a page which isn't indexed to pass page rank.
That is true.
So Google will know about the page. They won't actually index it, but they'll know it's there, and any links it finds on the page they will follow for both discovery and for flow of page rank.
Yeah. All All right, I think we'll move on to question 13. Remain Marotra asks a sitemap question. Says, when submitting a yoast sitemap from a WordPress website, there are sitemap options like page, posts, media attachments, tags, categories, etc. He said, I understand that the most important is to choose page and posts, but what about media attachments, tags and categories? Also, which other options should we look at in the sitemap XML setup?
Entirely up to him. It would, for instance, you can include your category pages, but you may not want to if you are publishing the entire post of every post on a category page, because then it would be duplicate. Media attachments, yeah, you can do tags and categories. You have to be careful because you will get some dupe content. It's possible, and I don't think there are too many other options with Yoast plugin, as far as I know.
Okay, anybody else? Well, Roman, I hope that covers that for you. Now we have a question from Michael Allen Smith. I noticed in the comments on the SEO Questions community on Google Plus that he's already made the decision to go with the non-dub version. But anyway, this was his question. He said, I'd like to know if there would be a risk in dropping the dub from my URL. He goes on to say, I have a 15-year-old website, PR4, and will release a new version very soon. Now we know he's already done it. The URLs will change, but I have a redirect tool so that no links will break. I'd like to know if it would be a risk to drop the dub from the URL. I'd prefer to drop it, but I want to do what is best for the site. Thanks.
Here's one of those perfect SEO questions where the only answer is, it depends. I think if it was me, and if I was worried about losing traffic, unless I was very good at what I do and I knew that I wasn't making any mistakes, I'd probably be inclined to only change the URLs first, and then maybe later on change the dub, remove the dub.
So, when is an SEO question never? It depends. I always consider it's always the case. But I mean, if he's already doing redirects for all the URLs anyway, and he wants to drop the dubs, I don't see an issue in that situation.
I'll tell you where I could see a potential problem, and again, it's just down to the technicals behind how you do the redirects.
Mm-hmm.
It is, let's say, a case where I put in www.domain.com/old URL, and he redirects that to www.domain.com new URL, and then he redirects that to domain.com new URL. And then you have a situation where rather than doing a single redirect, you're doing two. And that's why I mentioned that unless you're technically adept at doing this, I think you have to be a little bit careful, because you may find that actually doing two or maybe more redirects may actually hurt you a lot more than it could possibly help. So I think it's just, it also, we don't know we don't know what his site is. We don't know whether his site is like 5 pages, 500 pages, 5 million pages. And if it's a small site, no problem. If it's a huge site or a very deep site, it could be huge problems for him to do all these redirects, because it's quite difficult to explain, but Google can't actually see the old URLs because they disappear off the internet all at once, and it actually doesn't. It can't pick up links to deep pages because they no longer exist. So there's a lot of variables here, I think. If it's a small site, go for it. If it's a big site, I would be very careful about any redirects.
That's fair. I mean, because I can also think of 2 additional issues that's going to come across. So one is making sure that if you're you're creating, if you're going to be on a non-dub, then make sure that even in Webmaster Tools you're noting that. Because if you're saying everything is not non-dub, but you're telling Google to specify the URLs as dub, that's going to create confusion potentially. And then you also have to bear in mind is how are people generally linking to you? Are they actually going to link to you with the dub or non-dub? And if everybody generally links to you with the dub, then implicitly every new link you're getting, you're going forward going to have a redirect through them, which is going to, in some ways, every redirect is a slight kind of less valuable type link because of that redirect. So yeah, those are fair.
About what is best for his site, and
You sit off your
yeah.
That's good timing, isn't it? Perfect.
No, he was talking about what's best for his site, and yeah, for his site it doesn't matter, and changing your URL for the sake of SEO isn't recommended. Stick with what you've got is in most cases the best, generally speaking.
Yeah. Was that the smoke alarm, Rob?
Oh, intruders alarm.
Aha.
Okay, I just want to step back a couple of questions to the index follow and index no follow question. Arthur wanted to add something to that.
Yeah, I wanted to add that, I mean, I've seen that the guy didn't understand the point of using no index follow. Can you guys hear me?
Certainly can.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about, I don't know, real estate websites, okay, where you have a lot of intermediary pages which you don't want to be ranked. I mean, you have a city like, I don't know, New York, where you have tens of thousands of intermediary pages full of listings. You don't want to have them indexed, but you do want to have the final listings, final particular listing pages, listing details pages indexed, okay? In this case, you will use no index follow for all the pages that comes after the first page, the second, the third, the fourth. Just make sure to link them in between with rel prev and rel next to give the Google a hint that they are together. You don't want them indexed, but you do want Google to follow all the links within them to reach the final property details pages. So it makes perfect sense to use this, and you will give Google you will feed, if I may say correctly, Google only the pages that matters to be indexed. In this way, you will save bandwidth even for you and for Google, and you will make sure that the final pages will get indexed and not the intermediary pages from your website.
Okay, thank you for that, Arthur. Here's a question. Good on you. Here's a question from Junwei Huang, and Junwei asks a philosophical question, I guess it is. What is the best way to build 3 powerful backlinks within a week?
I know the answer. Discover a cure for cancer. There you go.
Apart from that.
Parkinson's disease.
Piss off an SEO who has a blog.
Make up a story about Google robbing AdSense publishers of all their money. That's a class action suit now. Did you see that today?
Yeah.
So there must be no smoke without fire, or no fire
Didn't the
without
guy
smoke.
say he would provide more details if there's a class
The
action
legal
suit
team,
to the
yeah.
legal team?
Well, you'd wonder why they would actually launch the class action suit if they didn't have something. And apparently, the people behind the legal team they're not ambulance chasers. So, but sorry.
Yeah, look, as you know, I was that post that guy made. It was factually wrong in a couple of places. So for me, that and I'm happy with what we've done with AdSense. I mean, we're not doing much these days, but I'm certainly happy with what we've got.
Yeah, you'll never really know. There'll always be smoke and mirrors in most things. So, and whether we'll ever know for sure, well. But it's funny, going back to this question though about the idea, what's the best way to build 3 powerful backlinks within a week? It's funny that the language used there is build. And to be honest with you, it's funny, but over the last 2 years, Google has done really well at trying to kill link building. In the sense of actually going out and creating links yourself. Creating content that bring in links is fine, but building links is more dangerous than it ever has been. So I would be very, very careful if I was this person about trying to build links in any period of time.
Did anyone come up with any actionable? Sorry, I missed it. Did anyone come up with any 3 ideas for him?
I told him cancer, Parkinson's disease, and if you want a third one, I don't know. What other chronic diseases are there? Give me a list.
Yeah, but what happens if he sells cars? Yeah, 3 actionable things. Join your local Chamber of Commerce on the Monday. It probably would be on the site by the Friday. So
business associations.
Business association, trade organizations.
Charity donations.
Yeah, definitely. Find something that's going on in your area. Well, I don't know if it's going to be something within that week, but sponsor the event. Kids football teams, they're always desperate for kit. You can sponsor, and plus you'll have your logo and your URL running around 13 players' chests every Saturday for the whole year. There's loads of ways building links. I don't know if they'll be achievable in 7 days because we're technically talking indexed and cached by then, but yeah, certainly achievable within 14 days. The thing is, the best way to build links is to create something that's of value that people will link to you. I don't know, walk grannies across the street for a week. Get the press involved, and hey presto, you've got a mention, you've got a press. If the local press picks it up, the national press tends to pick it up. And those are really great, powerful, links coming straight back. So in a sense, you are building them, but you're also building your brand at the same time. You're not building crap. That's what you're doing. Think about your brand and building a brand. When you're building your brand, then your links tend to be good, natural, authoritative.
Comment on Matt Cutt's blog? Oh no, that's nofollow.
Jim, I've said it before, sometimes you won't turn down a nofollow. I mean, you're not going to turn down You know, if somebody, you're not going to get hold of the author who put your company or your name or an article, you know, attached to a wiki thing. You know, even if something's a nofollow, it's still about whether people can actually come through to your site, see your site. It's just brand. It's brand awareness, building that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is build some kind of a tool, something that you see a need for in the industry that nobody else has created. Build it and offer it for free.
Yep. Okay.
I love Rob's comment, and Rob put a comment. He says, "Publish good quality content and post about it. Put a cat's picture on your site and blog it." Just add cats.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, here's one from Alison Wood, and I didn't even know this was a thing. I don't know, but anyway, it's a question about a LinkedIn account. She said, "Hi everyone, myself and my director have been having problems with our LinkedIn accounts while posting in the groups. I was notified by one of the group admins that my posts were being flagged for auto-moderation, even though he had no moderation restrictions on his group. He said that if I have pending posts in other groups, then I may have been flagged for SWAM, S-W-A-M. My director's account has a lot of pending posts too. I contacted each group moderator and asked them to lift the moderation flag, but with little response. I carried on posting in the groups for a few months. Some got stuck in the pending queue and some not. Now, I posted in around 50 groups. And what a surprise, it's ended up in some sort of moderation. And when I went back to check, I couldn't see the post in either pending or discussions started or promotions. I thought this was weird, so a day later I posted the same discussion again, and the same thing has happened in the majority of my groups. Does anyone know if this is SWAM or something else? Has anyone else been able to lift their SWAM status, or am I going to have to rebuild my account? LinkedIn groups are quite important for me. Many thanks."
Are you sure this wasn't posted by someone called Cheap Car Insurance, no?
Well, I guess it could be. What is that in the comments, is it?
No, but I mean, like, well, this seems to me like a question about LinkedIn. I was under the misguided or misconception that this was about SEO. Your group. Am I missing something?
True. Well, no, you're not missing anything, but it's just that I like to think that we could answer every question, because we can't expect people to know. I mean, if they're struggling with SEO, we can't be just deleting their question because it's not, doesn't quite fit.
So I wonder what the 50 posts were in the 50 groups they made. Was it something like, "We can get your website to #1 in Google, Bing, and Yahoo in 7 days for $65. And perhaps her director was doing the same.
It was get payday loans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't really know much about LinkedIn, but kind of from what I do know is that the swamming is obviously like Google Plus, where a moderator has basically blocked you. The only way that I can see around it is drop an email to the 50 moderators or whoever, wherever communities you're in, apologize, you know, I don't know how you want to word it, but apologize that you may or may not have offended that particular community. You know, that you've reread their, you know, their conditions of the community, and it won't happen again. And hopefully, they will all unblock you and remove this SWAM status. I'm glad we don't have a SWAM status on Google+. It could get a bit tongue twisty.
We do have something similar on Google+, in that Google auto moderates most posts, or many posts on our community, and if they're a little bit suspect, or if they're cross-posted with other communities, they usually don't actually immediately show on the community, but they appear in a section for the moderators to review. And usually it's simply just a remove, report, and ban. But yeah, sometimes there's a fairly good question that comes through. Anyway, Alison.
I mean, we're all having a lot of fun at your expense, and I apologize for that. But I've been blocked in LinkedIn groups before, and not in 50 at a time, but and I would seriously check that. You may not want to be posting to that many groups. That may be part of why you're having some challenges. But I've been blocked before, and dropped a note to the moderator, and the moderator said, you know, look, what you were posting was really high quality. I really like it. It's perfect for this other group that I do, but this particular group is only about XYZ. And I want to keep it all about XYZ. And I said, oh, okay, no problem. No harm, no foul. I won't post there anymore unless I have something to say about XYZ. So remember that there's not a whole lot in the way of automated status on LinkedIn. It's really more up to the moderator.
Yeah. And I guess, Richard, this is probably really an SEO question, because I mean, what purpose would she have for posting on LinkedIn groups? Jenny?
Well, I do it mostly just to get additional exposure for articles that I write. Like every article that I write for Search Engine Land, I go ahead and I post it in all the groups that I'm in that are related to search. And I get a lot of, you know, good feedback from people. I get people who want to comment on the article but aren't comfortable doing it in the open Search Engine Land environment. They'd rather do it on LinkedIn. Built a lot of good discussions there, even occasionally got clients that way. So it's much more of a branding promotion for me than anything particularly related to SEO.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that. Alison, look, I hope that answer is enough for you, but if not, please ask again on the SEO Questions community on Google+. Here's a question from Chris M. Cloutier. Chris has asked a number of questions of us. He says, I've seen the term silo popping up more and more. Is it a black hat method? What does it mean? Maybe it's just me, but blog silo sounds like something that Google wouldn't like.
Well, from you know, just looking at an ordinary site, you probably silo when you're building a site anyway. You're probably siloing the content. So in a basic model, you have a landing page for SEO. Within that SEO landing page, you have pages, you know, detailing different sections on SEO. So whether it be, you know, pages that you deal with links, content marketing, maybe a glossary, etc. Then you'd have another landing page section for AdWords. Within that, you would have your content dealing with AdWords. With a blog, it would be the same. You'd have your separate categories and articles would be in those separate categories. So you're creating a silo. I never realized that there was a black hat blog silo thing going on until actually someone link dropped into the post a automated blog siloing feature, which Jim removed. But now we do know that there is a black hat blog siloing automated feature out there that mass creates blogs and all funnels it into one. And so yeah, something like that, definitely black hat. But blog, you know, in a traditional sense, siloing is actually, you know, just great, you know, segmenting of your content into really well structured, you know, a really well structured site that's easy for a you know, a bot to read and understand. But yeah, we also do know that there's black hat blog siloing. It's alive and well, and yeah, you can go and purchase these, which is not recommended.
Yeah. All right. Now, Happiest, if you wanted to contact me, I can fix that for you. All right. David Jones asks, I've never known a reconsideration request to take this long. Has anyone else had this? He said, a site of ours had its PR reduced, and I got an unnatural outbound links penalty after the My Blog Guest Google penalty 2 months ago, as we used a few guest posts from there in the past. I cleaned up as many of the links as I could find and submitted a reconsideration request. And Google replied within 2 weeks saying we needed to do some more cleanup. So this time I nuked a lot of links and submitted another reconsideration request with a full list of all of the pages we'd removed links from. That was a month ago and still nothing back from them. I've never known a reconsideration request to take this long. Has anyone else had this?
Yes. They're taking longer and longer. I've had some that have taken up to 6 weeks. That being said, posting in the Google Webmaster Forum, there are a lot of people there that have the ability to check on a request and kind of let you know if it's still in queue or if maybe you've done too many requests in too short of a time period, or they might even look at it and go, yeah, you pretty much just got put to the bottom of the pile because you haven't cleaned up enough.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that is a long time for the my guest blog, my blog guest outbound links. I mean, I got on my play site when I tested out my blog guest, I got an outbound link warning penalty on one of my test sites, and but I had that removed in 5 days, released in 5 days. Yeah, so like Jenny said, double check all of them. Make sure they're either all removed or no followed. Yeah, after 2 months, if it's been 2 months, oh sorry, 2 weeks, you're saying. Yeah, I would probably give it to the end of the month, not before you resubmit another recon. But give it a minimum of a month at least. And in that time, double check all your they're all either removed or no followed, and you should swim through.
Excellent.
Now, I have been told by people by top contributors on the Webmaster Forum not to resubmit if you haven't gotten a response from the last one. So I would be careful about that. A lot of times put you to the bottom of the pile because they think you're doing too many requests in too short a time.
I know. In one session, Matt Cutts does say that if you haven't received a response, well, firstly, you should always receive a response that you've submitted it. So, has this person received a response that they've received it? If you haven't received it, yes, you can resubmit one, because you should always get a ding into your Webmaster Tools saying you submitted it on such and such a date. So if you haven't received that in Webmaster Tools, go ahead and submit it again. Matt Cutts, on the other hand, and now this isn't for the outbound, this was just for a normal recon to do with penguins, but he said, if we haven't got back to you inside of 2 months, certainly resubmit again. And I'm assuming that would be the same for this recon on outbound. But yeah, but that's your first. Double check your Webmaster Tools. Have you got a notification that they received it? Yes, right, you're going to have to hang tight and be patient. If you haven't, submit again.
But only after 2 months, and he said it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I saw the 2 months and read the 2.
Wait another 6 weeks before you resubmit.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Here we have a question from Kumbaire Masanganais. What would be the most effective link building strategy to employ if you manage several websites, i.e. 50 plus?
Are we talking one person here managing 50 websites on their own, or a team?
Well, several 50 websites.
Well, I think that there's nothing wrong with having 50 websites. I don't think. I think it's perfectly feasible. Some of them will run themselves. But if you're one person and you're running 50 websites, you might be better off consolidating them down into less than 50 websites if they're similar, and then link building to a small handful rather than trying to link build for 50. I certainly wouldn't cross-link 50 websites if they don't have any decent links coming into them, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're if those are your own sites as such, you know, the best way to build links is great content that people want to link to, offering something that's free, like Jenny mentioned earlier, you know, a free tool that no one else in the market's got. But I mean, if these are 50 different sites all within completely separate areas, I mean, you've got a serious amount of work on your hands. You either, you know, on the basic concept of building something that, you know, you're looking at 50 separate tools on 50 separate sites, or you're looking at least one great piece of content once a month. I mean, that is a serious amount of stuff you got going on. So yeah, you know, yeah, that's a lot for one person.
I can answer that. Go to an SEO agency. You won't be managing 50 sites by yourself. I mean, even if you don't have any job, and you sit at home, it's hard to manage 2 sites per day. Oh, I don't want to think about it.
Or maybe just focus on the 1 or 2 sites that are making you the most money or have the most potential to make you money, and try and focus on building them and getting some good links to them rather than trying to focus on 50.
Yeah, just don't go cross-linking all the sites together, because that won't help you and it will likely hurt you.
Yeah. really the most effective link building strategy these days is not to build links. Anyway, on that note, let's move on to the next from the society site NIFOS in Czechoslovakia. Can anyone recommend the best use of hashtags? Do you have some experience with the using of hashtags? If it is better to highlight them in the middle of the main text, or at the very end, or behind the text on an extra line? I have no idea what they mean.
Probably,
Tweets.
he's mentioning tweets or Google Plus hashtags. They are the only hashtags that matters. I mean, only in social media you can use hashtags and get a link beneath them. So,
well, hashtags are, hashtags quite nice now on Google Plus, where you can do a hashtag search, and you can actually have your post appearing in the scrolling carousel on the right-hand side, kind of where the knowledge info panel normally sits. If it's a very queried term, the carousel sits below the AdWords. So yeah, hashtags great for brand visibility now. It's just that extra bit of real estate. I've played around with them a bit, and I tend to get the same results, but the same again, it's what it looks like. I mean, a post where you've hashtagged it before you've posted your content, for me, just looks a bit like I'm really desperate to get these hashtags in, and a bit kind of not spammy, but just doesn't look great. So I tend to obviously have my title, which is bold on my post, a little bit of introductory text, and then my hashtags at the bottom. And that doesn't seem to make any difference whatsoever, and it's still picked up in hashtag search and in the carousel. So I think it's entirely up to you where you want to put it. I really haven't delved into testing it too much, but I think it's also from an aesthetic point of view, I prefer them at the bottom.
Okay.
This is a little bit of a hack, but something that I've done with varying amounts of success is if I'm covering something that's got a hashtag, like a conference or something like that, I will put the hashtag in the title of the post, because then if it's shared, it always uses the hashtag that's associated with that event.
Okay. All right. Will we move on to the next? I think you might be right. You might be onto something here, Richard. Here's another question that's not really an SEO question. Dale Shadbazian asks, has anyone noticed their Pinterest profile making leaps in the search engine results pages after the Panda update? I have a client with a weak Pinterest profile that is now blowing away other SM channels for some targeted phrases. Is this a thing, guys?
I saw something about similar to this. People talking about Pinterest coming up, and it's funny. Why don't we all check our favorite new tool? Or have you already discussed your favorite new tool?
No.
No, you're not giving them any plugs. No, have you not told the world that SEMrush gave some people?
Yeah.
You'll notice on the Hangout description it says that we have accepted the use of. Actually, I'll read it out to you.
Their organic keywords have popped right up from the looks of it. Position changes. From the graph I see here, they've gained substantially in the last, very substantially. 182,000 new on the 21st, and they lost 105. So that's a fairly good pop. Certainly looks like they've done something right.
Can you give us a link in the chat where you are looking?
I'm looking in SEMrush. If you have a login, you just go pinterest.com by organic positions. I'm not sure if I can post something in the chat or whether I can share my screen, or if I share my screen, you're going to see like 20 million windows. Not even
No,
sure.
just give us a link in the chat and we can, if it is not fully Java.
I presume, here we go. Let me just.
And you're looking at the organic keyword chart, basically.
Yeah, for US. I'm looking at position changes. Positions would probably also would show it as well. Positions seem to show a fairly good jump.
Yeah, you may want to try that one. That one's more deep, or like you can dive in deeper on that.
Let's see. You're looking at the last 30 days?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, they've lost a lot. I mean, more than a half.
Pinterest?
Yeah.
And what I'm looking at?
Yeah, the link you gave us, it's the Pinterest.
So blue is the gains and red is the losses. The blues far outweigh the reds.
But they gained, you see, they gained a lot. I mean...
Yeah, they gained a lot.
It's just a big spike from 129K to 182K. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But they even lost a lot.
Or if you look at March versus April, they've got 4.2 million keywords. In March, they had 3.9 million keywords. That's like 10%. A little less, but still it's a nice spike for 1 month.
The one problem I would note with that, and I think this is what Arthur's getting to, is it's a spike in the numbers they've gained and lost. So there might be just that there's been an update into the system, because that's just generally a huge spike overall.
The loss looks fairly consistent. Like it's not like
no. Here, let me see if I can send the link over to you. But it looks like for both gained new keywords and lost keywords. Well, maybe I'm looking at new. Yeah, I'm looking at new and lost.
Yeah.
And it looks like the system found a lot of new keywords, but also noted that they lost. Like there's a lot of keywords that were lost for Pinterest. So it makes me question the consistency for the results, about whether or not
you can rely on it. Is that?
Yeah, for this situation.
Yeah.
Just because there's a huge spike across the board. If it was like
the thing is, the spike is more on the gain than the loss, because it's not they've lost a lot, but they did lost a lot in the past too.
Yes. I'm not disagreeing about that. I'm just saying that that's a huge number as a whole, and so one of the things I'd like to do, what I would probably do, is then just see if other sites have the similar type of issue, like across the board. Do they just update their system, and so that's what you're seeing? Because I just
potentially,
if you run something else, I don't know. Run some big site and then see if you're seeing a same type of curve going up like that.
Let me see eBay, how it goes. I just typed in eBay. Oh my god.
Yeah, you're seeing a curve across the board for all sites, I think. So.
Wow. I mean, man, they lost in the 19th of May 500,000 keywords.
Yeah, but once again, if you fall back out and you do the 2 years,
Okay.
and you pull back out, you'll see that a lot of sites are spiking massively in the number of new keywords and lost keywords. So I think they've updated the system.
Right.
So just be careful with trying to do a comparison with that.
Okay, have we covered this question, do you think?
What was the question again?
Anyone noticed their Pinterest profile making leaps in the
Oh, yeah.
SERPs after the Panda update?
Yeah, no, I think there was actually, in fairness, if you go, and I hadn't been there for a long time, but for whatever reason I went to Webmaster World today to have a look, and there were a few people talking about Pinterest. So it may be that Pinterest has been a site that has gained.
And yet, I mean, I'm only going on what I read, but the membership, the demographics of Pinterest, it's about 90% women, 10% male, isn't it? Or
That's a very sexist comment, Jim. What's that got to do with ranking?
I'm talking about demographics.
Here's a question. What, Pinterest could quite easily be considered a site with exceptionally thin content. It's an
By the way,
image.
Jim, it's 4 to 1. So
4 to 1.
yeah.
Well, they're good odds.
There's the comment you were looking. But go ahead, sorry, Tim, to jump in. You want thin content, yeah. But it's image. Image is technically content.
Hmm. And actually,
Yes.
probably
So you have an
you probably
image,
find out that their text
and you
image
have a
ratio isn't actually that bad. There's probably some text there now. It's not a site that I've looked at much, if ever. But I presume there is actually a reasonable amount of text around some of those images as well.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't spent much time on it, but you would get a board, and on the board itself, I would say yes, you would have, as that builds, you have quite a lot of sort of text around different images and descriptions of the image, but the actual image page itself, I mean, I've never seen more than a line of description, a one-liner. So can you think about the millions of pages there? The millions of one-liner on a page. I mean, that is really thin stuff.
Yeah. But because so many people link to it, it's now got a massive amount of domain authority.
Yeah, but
Which means you can get away with a lot more than you could otherwise.
yeah, but that's not the way it should work.
Well, there's no disagreement about that, but just noting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, you'd expect that, like, if you're going to be highlighting the stuff, that there should be commentary about the images or things around those photos beyond just like quick, small little snippets. But that's not, unfortunately, that's not what Google's algorithm currently can differentiate or handle.
Well, it's just a classic example of brand bias. It's not that Google's biased to the brand Pinterest. It's just that because that brand has built such a following, there's no opportunity for anybody smaller to come in and overtake.
I wouldn't call that brand bias, but it's basically a size and it's not that Google's singling out the brand. It's just that your latter point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? That's people always get all like, oh, well, Google's biased toward big brands. That's not what it is. It's that they have built such a following that there just is no other player.
Well, there are a few. Well, I don't know. It wasn't Delicious or what was the one? Was that what Yahoo tried to kill at some point? There were at least some there that was of sufficient image focus too. But yeah, I mean, there's nobody else in the
Either way,
space.
I mean, it's massive amounts of duplicate content. So I don't understand how it continues to show up in search results.
Well, because the images are duplicate, but the commentary fields and descriptions about them are not.
Yes, but...
Guess what Google cares about more?
Hey, Barry.
Hey, Barry's here.
Hey! Wait a second, it's over there. Okay.
Camera 2.
You have fans here, Barry. Rob Mars said you were posting lots of news, and we were hoping you'd tell us about some of it.
Sure. I guess I have a few minutes. Okay, so I'm sure you heard about Panda. So I don't know what to tell you more about it, but it was released Tuesday night. Panda 4.0. The specific Panda algorithm looks like a rewrite. It wasn't one of those refreshes. Matt Cutts made it sound like it was a major update, and he implied to me specifically that it's going to be rolling out, over the next few days or so, and a lot of people have noticed those changes. It pretty much seemed also that it laid the groundwork for Google to release softer Panda updates. So some people might have seen some of their sites that were impacted by Panda previously released from that. And then maybe in future Panda refreshes, they'll see hopefully a softer impact on their sites with that. So that's interesting to see, of course. The biggest winners and losers that I posted on Search Engine Land last night via search metrics data and some other bit data were that eBay was a major loser in this Panda update, as well as Ask.com, specifically some directories like the Ask.com/directory and the eBay Ask.com/questions, I guess Q&A section, and the eBay forum area was mostly impacted by this. So were things like biography.com, and interestingly enough, Tell Me Not, which is a Google venture-backed site. So that was interesting to see, the sites that got hit the most. Of course, Pete Myers from Moz also noticed eBay get hit bad, and search SEMrush also noticed that as well. And the big winners seem to be similar types of sites. Glassdoor is not so similar, but eMedicine Health, medterms.com, yourdictionary.com, shopstyle.com, and so forth. Of course, those are just search metrics data, so it's hard to see exactly their analytics. So we're just using data from a third-party system. What else is exciting? Outside of Panda, Google released their spam algorithm update, I guess version 2.0 of that, which we either called the payday loan algorithm or the spam algorithm, which specifically targets keywords that are very spammy in nature, such as certain medical keywords, Viagra, or things like payday loans or gambling-related stuff, or stuff like that, which you call the PPC, which stands for, I guess, pornography, pills, and casinos. So those types of areas, in terms of those types of queries, were impacted. Google said it only impacted the English language queries by about 0.2%, but obviously some other languages it impacted more. Like with the first version of the payday loan algorithm, Matt Cutts said it impacted only 0.3% of the U.S. English queries, but when it came to things like Turkish queries, it impacted it as much as 4%. So that was another major algorithm update that was released over the weekend, whereas the Panda algorithm was released Tuesday through Wednesday and even today. What else is there to talk about quickly before I have to go off? It was interesting stuff. I don't know if you saw this metafilter stuff going on, where metafilter was impacted back in November 17, 2012 by some type of algorithm update. And metafilter is one of the original Q&A-like types of sites that were out there. And back in November 2012, specifically on the 17th, according to Danny Sullivan, it was impacted by some type of update. Google, I actually reported on an update back then saying there was some type of update. Google denied that there was any update on the 16th or 17th of November 2012, but this specific site was hit by it. Now, it's interesting to see because obviously Panda was released, a refresh to Panda was released on the 21st, but this happened a few days before that Panda release. So we're actually unsure as to why Metafilter was hit. Matt Cutts told somebody on Twitter publicly that he's in discussion with the founder of Metafilter. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any reversal of that update or whatever it might be, or if Google will come out and say, hey, there was a bug or something. I'll be very interested in seeing that. Outside of that, those are the big, I guess, few things that happened. Obviously, Panda 4.0, the spam algorithm update, Metafilter. There's obviously a lot of other things that are going on, but those are probably the big three that happened in the past few days. Thank you. Any questions?
Do you have any thoughts on the taking AdSense to court?
The AdSense what?
Taking AdSense to court for the fraud.
So right now I think it's in the status of they're trying to get a class action lawsuit filed, meaning they're trying to get it to class action status. It's all based on this former Google employee allegedly saying he worked at Google and saying that there was a lot of fraud. I don't know. I'm not a legal expert. I don't know if it'll actually go through. If it does, I think it'll be great in terms of us learning about things that Google doesn't want us to know about. I think a lot of data will come out from it if it does go to that status. But I don't know if it will.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Cool. I'll let you guys continue. I'm sorry I have to jump onto another call, but thanks for having me for a few minutes.
Thanks for popping in, Barry.
Would you mind if I sent you an invitation every week?
Is it at this time every week?
It's Jim. Would it be okay if I sent you an invitation to join us every week?
Is it around this time every week?
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah, all the time.
Around this time.
Yeah, you can send an invitation. I don't know, it's a bad time usually, but you can send an invitation. I'll try.
Yeah.
Right,
fantastic.
Right.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it very much.
So great news.
Rob.
Yeah, that talking about that payday loans. I mean, this rollout has really. I mean, I've always joked that their payday loan rollout was just some poor bastard sitting there, some intern sitting there monitoring payday loan search terms and actually going, oh no, delete that one, because over Christmas it just went haywire again, and we kind of joked that yeah, the poor bloke was on Christmas holidays and it just went rampant again. But this one seems really effective. I mean, if I just search payday loans now, I'm hard pushed to find anything going down until you get to like page 3 or 4. That's where all the affiliates, have been smacked back to. Cialis, that's also been proved very effective. But the ones that are getting through onto page 2 and 3 for me are hacked sites. So the spam links, affiliates have been knocked back, but the hacked sites are still getting through. So,
question, of course, is still how long will it last for? Just like last.
Yeah, time. Until the bloke goes on holiday again, mate. Because now they've got two interns.
So, in your opinion, Google are paying an intern to do hand jobs? Is that what you're trying to say?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. That's his job. It's on his resume. Is he going to write that? I worked for 9 months for Google doing hand jobs. If you'd like to know more.
Yeah, payday loan hand jobber.
Well, on that note, can we go on to another question? We have 2 more to cover. Devin Peterson asks an interesting question. He says, does maximizing the SEO potential of a large site or a group of sites require an agency or team, or can a single person do it alone, assuming that the person is knowledgeable enough? I'm trying to figure out at which point do I need to call for backup, or will combined efforts pay for itself through the increased effectiveness? Or are there a lot of solo freelance SEOs who manage many sites big and small, all by themselves?
Yes. It's a really tough one to answer this. It's it's another one for the "it depends" column. I think there are people who manage really, really big sites alone and do really good SEO with them. But it just depends on how big is big and how knowledgeable is knowledgeable enough. I've worked with really big sites, and they may have one person doing SEO, but that person is just saying to other web teams, do this, do that, do the other. So it's so difficult to say, really. And at the same time, you have to be very careful going to agencies or even freelancers who will probably promise you the earth, star, and moon, sky, etc., and God knows what they're going to do for you. A lot of the stuff with big sites is actually to do with architecture and to do with on-site stuff. So if you've got a really big site and there's a lot of content there, whether it's UGC or whatever, if you know what you're doing, you can really push things a lot with a big site.
Yeah, and the only thing I would top off on kind of the real nice part of what Richard has all collectively said there, at least with agencies, you can leverage them for audits. So I don't think that was quite mentioned. And you had freelance SEOs, but there's always once in a while that an agency could be as well helpful for just double checking anything you might have missed in any part of your work. So leveraging, assuming you find the right agency, of course. But that part, if you're the kind of person who can handle a lot of the areas.
I think that the technical part you can handle, but since SEO depends a lot on creating great content and quality content, I think you should be looking more at people within the company that can supply the great content for your website than looking for SEO. I don't know what he calls SEO exactly, but
I guess from the sounds of that he's one person as opposed to a company. I'd imagine. It would strike me that that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to give him some idea,
you can only optimize as much as you can produce.
Yeah, he could have a forum though. There could be people producing a ton of content for him, and it may be a lot of people. A lot of people I've known who have really big sites and who manage them themselves. They tend to be forums. Sorry.
Doesn't have to be, but yeah, I'm at a marketplace, so that's as well produces a heck of a lot of content too.
Well, just looking at the film strip on this Hangout, we've got Micah. You're the senior SEO manager for Zazzle.com, and our very own Alistair Lattimore. He's single-handedly controlling the direction of SEO for the What If group of companies. That's about 1,100 million a year. And Tim, he looks after Red Square Today. And
thanks.
That's an inside joke in case nobody knows.
Yeah,
how long has this been on air? About 2 hours or something? Is that the first comment?
No.
Yeah. That's the first one. We were actually talking about that today because people who don't even know me associate me with Russia now. It's just unreal. Getting back to the question. I mean, majority of people that manage either large sites or, for myself up to, between 6 and 10 sites, we do have external help or internal help within the company, whether it be, I have an external PR company and external copywriters. I don't have them in-house, but I need those to manage the additional sites. And in terms of structure and that's fine for me, but for all those other bits and pieces that you need to pull in, I use externally, or if you're working with a large company singularly, they potentially have those mechanisms in place already. But for one single guy to manage, to bring all these things into play is very challenging. But you know, and at some point, I think you would need to look at bringing in additional help, whether you bring it in-house or use external companies to help you with the additional PR, because online and offline really merge now. But if it's just site structure, and whether they massive million-page sites, it is doable. But as a whole combined SEO package, I think there's only so much you're knowledgeable in, and specialities that you're in, and you do need to bring in that external help.
Mm-hmm.
I think also you got to figure out where is best to put your budget. This guy, he's bound to have some set budget, and it may be that spending that budget on SEO isn't going to make a huge return for him vis-a-vis maybe spending it on content or PR or whatever it might be. So we don't really know enough to say, but maybe his first step is to try and find somebody knowledgeable enough to give him some guidance on where he should focus. And SEO may not be the right focus.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to just necessarily be budget. It could be as well the time spent.
Yeah.
So just to clarify.
Yeah, and I just want to mention, depending on how competitive the industry is in, we don't know what this person does. So if you're in a really competitive industry, then you're probably going to need as much help as you can get. If you've already got a site that's built well, and you're already at the top of your game, and you're a leader in the industry, and you've got good positioning already, then yeah, you can probably handle it yourself, or even with the help of just a consultant to ask questions to now and again. So it depends.
Okay. Well, I think we can consider that covered. Speaking of Alistair Lattimore, he's posted a question on the SEO Questions community on Google+, headed the SEMrush eBay penalty analysis. Alistair said, recently SEMrush provided a few, or actually it's more than a few, Alistair, of the SEO Questions panelists access to their tool to review it. He said, I haven't had a great amount of time yet to rip into it, but today an article was published by RefuGeeks on using it to analyze the recent drop in eBay rankings. It was a great article. I learned a few new things about SEMrush functionality that I wouldn't have thought to use it for. And I think the community would probably benefit from giving it a read as well. He's given it the Alistair Lattimore very cool stamp of approval, and the link can be found on the SEO Questions community on Google+, deconstructing eBay.com's organic loss using SEMrush from RefuGeeks. Comments, guys?
So far, I haven't been able to dig into it too much too, but I've been playing with it for the last couple of days. And indeed, it's an impressive tool. Especially you can use it for a lot of things. I will still dig into it more deeply, and we can talk about it next week. I mean, from my point of view.
Any more?
I mean, anything where a tool that provides the ability to, look at the industry comparisons as a whole, seeing kind of changes within their database is of value. Yeah, I personally like the fact that you can, something happens. Let's say something happens on your site, both positive or negative. You can see if it's individually to your site or are other competitors in your industry as well affected. So in situations where you're not fully sure if it's a fix or optimization that you've done, or if it's something that's on Google's end, you're able to at least see how that compares, and that's always a plus in my mind to be able to do. And so it's really cool seeing whether in particular SEMrush or other tools for as you're saying, like if something has happened to eBay, is people can at least try to see if that's affecting it at large. And at least in this case, it does look like that. And it's cool because at least it provides kind of examples for where you can go further in terms of doing some deep dives.
Yeah, I like it as well, the fact that you're able to not just look at a site level, but you're able to look at a SERP level, you're able to look at keywords, you're able to see who's ranking, etc. It's quite a good tool. I mean, there's obviously going to be some drawbacks. Their data collection, it's something historically I've always been a little bit averse to their data collection because they weren't very transparent with how they were collecting data. They were, to the best of my knowledge, they scraped some data, and they also used the data from plugins that people have installed in their browser. And they had that SEO Quake plugin, and it was a lot of people used it for a long time, probably still use it, but I'm not sure if they quite realized that by using it they were feeding their personal data into SEMrush. When I say personal, SEMrush is using their internet connections and their SERPs. But it looks like a very powerful tool. It's come along in the last few years as well. I've used it before, and certainly compared to what it was, it seems to be quite a good tool.
Yeah, what's interesting is that they drag their, I don't know, I mean the keyword rankings, they've always dragged it from the same place. That means they are consistent with their readings, because nowadays you can't be sure of a ranking. I mean, if I'm searching from my computer and the computer next to me, I get two different results. So you can't be able to I don't know, to certainly say that's a position 1 keyword and so on and so forth. But they are dragging their results from the same place, and they can be consistent with them. It's impressive the amount of data they are. I mean, we are playing with from them. So that's very nice.
Can I just say I'm so impressed with what SEMrush or SEMrush, I don't know how they say it, with what they have done in terms of marketing in the last couple of months. I mean, take a look at their domain on SEMrush. They have just gone, woo!
Did they move? Weren't they? Are they still Russian-based, or are they now based in the US, or does anyone know where they are?
They're definitely in Russia, or at least Fernanda, their marketing manager, was speaking to us from Russia the other day.
Right. Okay. Or have they had a huge infusion of funding, or I wondered if they pick up a large round of funding or something like that in recent times? They've been around for a while, but yeah, they seem to have ramped up quite considerably.
Yeah, I mean, it started for me with one of their people reaching out to me asking, if I would like to trial the tool in case I wanted to write about it, because I wrote about it maybe 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I haven't had a chance to yet, but I just think they've done a really impressive job of ramping up PR. And if you look at their domain, that link I shared in the comments, look at SEMrush for their domain. It's just significant ups. It's just really impressive.
Well, they have all of us talking about their tool, and what they've done, their outreach is obviously really good. I mean, they're doing it really, really well. The fact that they've given all of us or most of us access to their tool, we're going to look at their tool, we're going to talk about their tool. Yeah, I mean, that's what outreach should be.
Yeah, and it's not just. I mean, I'm reading through the articles that are updates that used to be solely the domain of, say, search metrics when it was seeing something would occur. Now it looks like people are starting to reference search metrics and SEMrush, which is a good area for them to be compared up against and used for these types of areas in the SEO industry.
So I had a look at that link, Jenny, and you're right. They're almost all ups except for Australia. Australia has dropped. That database is down, but I guess that's because people in Australia know me.
I like that analysis. That's good.
All right. We have another question to finish off our question list tonight. It's a question from Fort Minor. It says, I have high numbers of incoming links from only one website. Will this hurt my website rank? He says, I have a backlink footer link to my site from a PR1 niche-related website. Google Webmaster Tools shows around 7 million backlinks, or it might be 700,000, I'm not over sure, from that particular website. The website is about music search. Please tell me if there's anything wrong with such high numbers of incoming links from only one website.
Well, so far as if I remember correctly, John said that Google started to ignore footer backlinks, because they've seen it so abused that they've just ignored it. So no, there is no problem. You can have 7 trillion links. It won't make a difference. So don't worry about it. I mean, if it will be to have an impact, you will be notified. I mean, you will get a manual penalty.
I don't think they'd ever get a manual penalty from this either. I think that I don't think it's actually too unnatural to have a footer link on 7 million pages from one domain. I think that's actually relatively natural in a way, because it's probably gone on for so long. It's just that I doubt that any of those links have any value.
Yeah, no, they specifically said they ignore the footer links. I mean, it's in a way it's obvious. I mean, usually people have a footer, I don't know, script, and what they put in one page, it will spread along the whole website. So if you have one link, it will be more valuable than 7,000 links or 700,000 links.
I'd hazard a guess that if they removed that footer link, that it actually might damage them a little bit. I wouldn't go so far as to say that Google will ignore all of those links. I'd say that they would most likely probably ignore all but one of them. But I'd guess that you might be worse off by having no link from that website than having the 7 million. Just marginally, I would say. That's my guess.
It will also depend on what the anchor text is.
Potentially also.
Not so long ago, I was lucky enough to be in a hangout with Frederick Fuchs, the evangelist from Bing. I'm not sure if this was said during the live hangout or in the green room, but he said footer links. He said, we know that people aren't clicking on footer links, and if they're of no interest to users, they're of no interest to us. So we just ignore them.
Yeah, I've heard him say that too.
But far more importantly, where's the green room and where's my drinks?
Well, actually, we do social media Fridays, 4 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, Richard.
And, have you got another group for that, or is it the same group, or is it?
it's a different. It's actually we've got the currently have the pages, the questions that we speak of are on the Dumb SEO Questions site, but that's because we haven't built a site for Social Media Fridays. But we're only up to episode 5, and it's become a literal green room. After we answer the questions, of course, Masataki, for him it's about 9 a.m., so it's a bit early for him to drink, but I have a beer. It's a good wind-up for the week, if you're interested.
If you send me a link, I didn't know, to be dead honest with you. I really didn't know.
Yep, I'll send you a link. No problem. Well, look, we've done it again. We've covered all of our questions on the SEO Questions community on Google+. We have some items of interest that have been published on our SEO News community on Google+. Each week we gather news items, items of interest, and discuss them at the end of our SEO Questions Hangout on Air. Here's one, we actually did discuss this with Barry when he was here a moment ago. It was an article talking about the rolling out of Panda 4. And he said, from these fresh Matt Cutts tweets, we can confirm that there's a number of updates that have been rolling out over the weekend. As we reported earlier from Weather on Algaroo and Mozcast, there's clearly been some big changes going on over the last week. And actually, it's good to hear Dan Petrovic's tool, the Algaroo, being mentioned more and more. Comments, guys?
No, I don't have any.
Okay. Second-class Google authorship is gone. Does that mean that they're posting all the photos now? Is that it? Okay, well, look, we'll move on from that one. And here's another one posted by Micah Fisher-Kirshner. Interesting information to know, Google, if content isn't changed, manual actions won't be removed. This was a link to a post on the Google Webmaster Forum, which drew an answer from John Mueller. If you're not already aware, John quite often will post a definitive answer on the Google Webmaster Forum, and generally you can take what John says to the bank. You'd agree with that, Richard?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I'm just reading to see. Apparently Thailand's going to turn off the internet at 9:30.
What's that? Thailand is?
Yeah, you know, we have a coup here, so they're just saying that they're going to turn off the internet at 9:30.
So,
it would be funny if it wasn't so tragic.
Bye-bye, Richard. It was nice seeing you.
Very good. I've got another 14 minutes. So I can't multitask. I wasn't listening to you at all, Jim.
Yeah, that's all right. Okay.
No, but I agree with what Jim said. John Mueller is a very knowledgeable person, despite the fact he's working in the Google. And with these things, he's all around a very knowledgeable person, and he knows what he's saying. So I
John
do agree.
has to be so careful also. I recently saw a blog post that had all these comments that were attributed to John, and I can't remember exactly what they were, but there were about 20 different points that have been picked out of one of his Hangouts on air, and a number of them were just sort of bizarre. So I actually sent him a message just saying, this is being attributed to you, maybe you want to just have a quick look. And he just sort of answered, sigh, and I knew that some of them were just bizarre. And I think he doesn't, yeah, he has to be just so careful of what he says, and people who are reading things in that he is not saying at all. So, yeah, I'd say it's a very tough job he has in some ways, that he's sort of like the voice of Google, very much the voice of Google for search. And, yeah, people are going to distort what he says.
You know what, though? If you ever write something up that you want to attribute to John, he will absolutely stop by and just check it out if you ask him to, if you let him know it's there. Because I've written a lot of things like that he said in Hangouts and stuff, and I've pinged him on Google Plus and said, hey John, I wrote this about you. Can you just kind of confirm that I got this right? And most of the time he'll go and look at it and say, yeah, that's right, or that's right, but you should clarify this. So he's a really receptive guy.
Well, John's a great guy. He's helped a lot of people, I mean, I'm sure if someone was to actually go and try to log all the help he's given to people, they'd just see how much he's done. But at the same time, he works for Google, so he's got to toe the company line. They're his boss, and yeah, it's a tricky job he has. But he seems happy. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an intent thing with the reconsideration requests, in my experience. So, they're not going to lift a manual spam action for thin content or pure spam until you prove that that's not your intention. And just removing the pages that you think were part of what was being affected isn't going to make them go and say, oh, well, now we're going to remove this manual action because this site doesn't have those pages anymore, if the site doesn't actually offer something of quality. So I totally agree with what John Mueller said, and I think he's absolutely interpreting the way that I think, at least, that manual spam action should be looked at.
Okay.
Wow, that was a lot of crickets, guys. Thanks.
Well, it was just that you answered it all, Jenny. You left us with nothing to say.
No, you just didn't want to argue with me on open air.
Okay. Well, look, here's the last question, and it's a little bit esoteric. I'm not sure if I can draw a comment from you guys on this one, but Edwin Yonk, our most valuable team player on the SEO Questions team, I suppose I'd have to say. Edwin posted this article originally posted by Muhammad Alami. Why schema, is it important? Brackets semantic markup. Okay, so look, I'll read this out. As technology leads to new ways to implement search and provide answers to queries, a search engine such as Bing evolves. As more people move away from entering a search in a box online, they move towards apps, voice search on mobile devices, contextual searches, and so on. To provide answers in these and other environments, we become a data layer. Less of a search engine and more of an answer engine or data engine. On a mobile device, we might provide a direct answer to a query. In an app, we may provide data as part of an overall experience within the app. I guess it's referencing Cortana from Microsoft. Is it or not?
Yeah, it seems so. That was an excerpt from probably a speech from a Bing spokesperson or something, or a blog. But even though that's not the only way, semantic markup or structured markup, it's important. I mean, not only search engines can pick up structured data, even, I don't know, us humans, we can get an app and I can get a business card with the click of a button by a mobile, and I can pick up on microformats, age card, or any information I want if it is structured, you know. So I don't have to type it in myself, name, function, address, phone number, and so on and so forth. I can pick an age card with a small app and save it into my phone, a business card, right? And that's only one example. There are many structured data around nowadays. Besides schema.org, that was my point, like microdata, which was the basement for schema, microformats, which have reached version 2, and they are very much simplified and a lot easier to implement than before. I mean, I think they are the easiest structured markup data to implement, even easier than schema.org, a lot more easier than schema.org if you ask me. So beside the fact that your listings are showing very nice in the search engines, I mean, you have pictures next to your listings, you have I don't know, all sorts of improvements, visual improvements when you're listed in search results, which are appealing and they've called for clicks. You can even use those markups for other, I mean, with the help of a little software or mobile application, to withdraw some of your choice data from a website with a click of a button. So that's my view.
So I totally agree that schema is necessary in an SEO context because it really does help your display so much. But I have kind of a fundamental problem with the idea that we have to mark up content in a certain way for that data to be collected. And I go back to something that Sherry Thoreau, or Thoreau, I'm not sure how to say her last name, but something that she said, which is, you know, before the internet, it was about scholarly journal articles and papers, and as we place more and more technical demands on the consumption and markup of content, we pull ourselves farther and farther away from the true experts and the true scholars in an area. So I really disagree with the general idea of schema as the way into the future, because I think it really strongly limits us in terms of the amount of data that we'll be able to collect. That's just my opinionated opinion.
By the way, I've got to interrupt. Edwin Yonk just sent me a message saying it was Dwayne Forrester, Bing's the same sort of person as Matt Katz on Bing, who was the author of that article.
Yeah, I've met him last week at the SMX, and he was saying the same thing. He's a strong believer, and he encourages everybody to use the markup, the structured markup. So he's a very, I don't know, I like the way he talks and the way he explains things. So
Well, Dwayne's a brilliant guy, and I mean, I want to be clear. I do structure markup. I mean, I absolutely work with it, and I do it for my clients. But I just have a fundamental challenge with it.
you can even view this as a start of a new era where, as Dwayne said in his article, search engines will become, I don't know, data layer, and they will be gathering data not randomly as they did before, but they will start understanding data, because this is the ultimate goal. This is for what the structured markup appeared. So the search engines can truly understand what's beneath simple words and to try to fit them as exactly as possible to us, to humans, which are searching for answers. And there is the, I don't know, the if as the things evolve, there will be contextual searches more and more, and even we won't be able to, I mean, we won't use the search box and we won't use the keyboard in the future, and that future is very near as we start talking with our phones, right? There is Google Now, there is Siri, there is the other Bing, as we mentioned before, but I can't keep remember its name. So this will be the future. I mean, we will be talking with our computers like in Star Trek. I mean, Star Trek is not an old series of science fiction. It will be our future, our near future, as far as I can see, the way they move with the search engines.
I completely agree that search engines becoming more of a data layer is the future, and I completely agree with everything you're saying about us not using the search box and doing more natural language processing, but I am just not convinced that schema will get us there.
Oh, well, probably won't be the schema, but schema, it's a pioneer, right? I mean, it's the first.
I think it's a band-aid.
Yeah, it's the first structured markup language, totally agreed by the biggest search engines. I mean, they've come up with the idea, they've embraced it, and after this, I'm sure there will be other smarter structured markup data. Maybe we won't be even needed in this markup process. Maybe they will find a way of intelligently suck all this data up, and they will be marking up automatically. Probably, I don't know, but I guess that's the trend. But
I think there's always a counter argument here that by making it easier for search engines like Google to understand our content, we're also making it easier for search engines like Google to steal our content and become the destination. And that's probably a big concern for many people, given that Google has gone from wanting to get searchers to the end destination as quickly as possible to actually being the end destination. But just to make that point, that it's always going to be a concern. But anyway, there you go. Just another counter argument.
I agree with you, Richard, and then I think even more to your point, it's giving Google or whatever search engine the data on a silver platter is just going to make them lazy and not make them try to collect this information on their own. And if they get too dependent on schema, then they're going to miss out on all of the content, very quality content and information that's not marked up with schema.
It's probably not going to be a problem. I think Google is like the NSA of the internet. They want to get everything. And I'd say they will get everything. And the problem, as I say, the one that I really worry about is the fact that at some point they're going to keep stealing more and more traffic from actual content owners by displaying that content in their SERPs.
Their reason for existence is that they point searches to the content. That's
but
what
that was their reason.
It's so dangerous if they start publishing.
But that was their reason for existence. It's no longer their reason for existence. You don't see them talking about, we want to get people to the end destination as quickly as possible. That's not their goal anymore. They want to be the end destination.
That's quite scary, because then Google becomes the truth, which it isn't.
Oh, yes, it is.
Think about if I go further on with my, I don't know, I can't say predictions because there are others who predicted this. I'm just agree with them. Just think about it. We are using voice language, voice recognition to speak with Google. Then Google won't serve us websites. It will serve us just raw data, directly the data we are interested in. Okay, so we won't be seeing those websites. We as an SEOs, maybe we will be, I don't know, converting. So not to say we will lose our fundamental job to optimize websites, because Google won't be needing websites, won't be serving websites in the future. It will give you exactly what you need, when you need it, by voice. So,
but where does it get that information? Where is all that coming from? Who's providing all those answers?
Google database. Google huge database.
Where is their source? They're not a content production. Well, to some extent they are, but this is really the problem, that Google is giving people the answers, but where are they getting the answers from, and who's profiting from those answers? And the answer is Google.
Yeah, but Google will come to your website, will crawl it, will gather all the data, all the fresh data, and so on and so forth. But users won't be hitting it. If they only just ask and they get the answer, they will move on. It's just like nowadays when you search something, raw data, I mean specific data. When the President of America was born, right? You will get the answer without clicking on the website. You get either the knowledge graph or maybe the first answer if you search for a word in dictionary, okay? You can click explain, I don't know, socks, and it will show you a pair of socks. Yeah, and you won't be needing to, you won't be reaching that website to actually make the traffic and record Yeah, go ahead.
If you only get answers to what you asked, you will never learn something. You won't expand your knowledge. You will be funneling into your own small part of what you know and what you want to know. And the great part about the internet was that it broadened everything, and you could search for something following up what you found and that kind of thing. And if Google is going to destroy that, then some other party will pick that up.
Yeah, we'll see.
I liken it to going back to when I was in school and you write a historical literary criticism paper. You can go to the encyclopedia and look up the raw data, the facts, the information, the kind of stuff like, when was President Obama born, and they give you the date. But to get the full picture, then you have to go, well, it used to be, you'd have to go to the library and look up the literary criticism articles and go through the literary criticism on the topic and on the time period and glean more knowledge and more opportunity for yourself to assimilate the ideas and the concepts of the time and figure out, how you wanted to display that in your paper. So that's the way it used to work. There still has to be a way to do that on the internet. And Google can be an answer engine, but it also needs to give you a source for further information.
Just think about how much time you are losing, or you lose back in the past, to go to a library, to start searching manually, page by page, and come back home, just for a piece of information that now you get it in a blink of an eye. Okay, so you lose 3-4 hours just to search for one information you need to create a paperwork for your school. Okay, so now you can get all those informations in a second. It's a very I mean, it's a fast era. Things evolve. I mean, it's normal to get the information as fast as you can. Okay,
but there's a difference between information and understanding.
Okay, but that's a point of personal, I don't know, achievement. Okay, because each of us understands things differently, and some of us are fast learners, some of us are slow learners. It doesn't matter. The thing is, you can get the same information as fast as you can. You can't process it as fast as it gets to you. And if you,
I guess my fear is that we're contributing to the dumbing down of the average American or the average human, because we give them the quick answer and they think that's enough, and it's not always enough.
True. Yeah, and not only Americans. I mean, there are, even in all countries, there are lazy people who prefers the online way. And
what's this news? Not only American people are lazy.
Newsflash! Oh my God, we're not the only lazy ones.
No. And the thing is, in all countries, there is this, I don't know, avoidance trend, if I may say so. They will try to find shortcuts everywhere.
Of course. Again, it's the difference between reading the book and reading the Cliff's Notes.
Or between reading the book and seeing the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get the same idea. You find the same concepts, but it will take you 1 hour and a half or 3 days. In 3 days, you get it a deeper understanding. But well, not all of us want deep understanding. Some of us want fast results.
There's something to be said for the quick answer. I just think it's dangerous for us as SEOs, as webmasters, to provide this information. It marked up in this way because I think it really limits the ability to consume and understand the information. And probably the best example I have is if you look up anything to do with a medical symptom. I mean, they say, don't ever Google your medical symptoms because you'll just find out that you're dying. But because everything could lead to death, right? Or everything could be a symptom of death. But you look at the first, page and a half of Google results, and you get the same thing from a dozen different sources, and you get no deeper understanding of your own symptoms. You get to page 3 or so, you start coming across the articles that people have written on the topic. You come across the articles from the scientists, from the CDC, from the FDA, and at this point, now you can actually understand whether this drug that you're thinking about taking is actually safe for you. My point is, in the scientific and the scholarly community, these people have never heard of schema. They've never heard of nofollow. They've never heard of of markup or RDFA. So we're missing out on that insight and on that information, and instead getting fed this crap from the Mayo Clinic and WebMD that's basically all the same information, just put in different orders and worded a little bit differently so that they don't show up as duplicate content. But it's a duplicate experience. And the reason for that is because they've got all their schema marked up and it's very easy for Google to understand.
Yeah, I agree. So guys, I've wrapped my things and have to go. So it was nice meeting you all. and was a nice session today.
Nice talking with you, Arthur. Thanks for debating this with me.
My pleasure, Jenny. Okay, bye. See you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Do we have anything else? Do we have anything on the room list?
No, we've covered it all, Jen. I said also thank you to Arthur, but I had a nice chat to myself with my microphone muted. Has any advances in Thailand, Richard? The tanks?
No, I'm still here. They haven't turned it off yet. They said it was 9:30 and it's still here. You wouldn't know. They may turn it off at 10 o'clock because there's a curfew from 10 o'clock until 5 a.m. I think tomorrow there might be problems, though, unfortunately.
And what's the mood like there? Are people nervous?
Yeah, I don't think most people probably don't even realize. Certainly where I am, we wouldn't know. There's no army here. I mean, in Bangkok, the army are on the streets and they've taken over. And tomorrow there'll probably be army out here. But I was here for the last one. It doesn't, generally speaking, there's not too much trouble. But the idea of them turning off TV and turning off the internet, it's not great, you know. So yeah, we'll see.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Welcome to Southeast Asia. You should have a coup in your country, I think. I think, judging by the state of politics there, it probably could do you a bit of a favor.
Well, I think I don't think in the last 50 years have we seen politics at such a low ebb. There's little confidence in our politicians. It's well known that they're all, being bribed by lobbyists, no matter whatever word or spin they want to put on it. There's no doubt they're all on the take. Our Prime Minister got nailed today for accepting a $70,000 education scholarship, for which there were no other. It was supposedly awarded to his daughter on merit, but there were no other applicants.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, that's not unique to Australia, Jim. I do think that it's the world over is at a low ebb with politics, and yeah, it's not good times. I mean, it's a funny old world we're living in these days.
Yeah.
I'm honestly just encouraged that other countries are as messed up as the U.S.
No, nowhere is as messed up as the U.S. Nowhere. And if the NSA is listening, I didn't say that. No. Everywhere is messed up, unfortunately. It's all a big facade. Someday everyone will realize it's all a big facade. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my bed and hope that the TV stays on for a little while, or I'm gonna be playing solitaire for the rest of the night with no internet.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Thank you very much.
It's good to see you all again, Jim. It's been a while, and hopefully I can join again. And I'd like to see a link to your Friday show. I'll try and join in someday also.
I added you and Rob Mars as well just a few moments ago, so you'll get a link in the mail, mate.
Okay, well, listen, good talking to you all, and yeah, take care.
All right.
Excellent.
Bye.
Cheers,
for now.
mate.
Later.
Well, Jenny, I'll say. Jenny's gone too. Okay. Rob Mars, you're gone. Well, look, for those of you still watching, thank you very, very much for taking the trouble to stick with us throughout our broadcast tonight. It's the interest that you show that makes what we do worthwhile. And we'll be back same time next week. Thanks very much.